And one of the big differences is that you're not turning your attention away from individuality, which
Not at
helped
all.
me understand what was happening in the no self experiences was
Yeah.
so attentional.
This is why I had to make the transition,
Okay.
because I realized how powerful this new theory of consciousness was. Because it allowed me to understand all of those things. It allowed me to understand so what you pay attention to. And actually, you do that all the time. You watch a movie and you're not conscious of yourself. You're conscious of the characters in the movie. If
Right.
it's really good, and you go afterwards, you go, "Whoa, God, I completely forgot where I was." Or because you say, but you can do that with mystical states.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know I've kept you for a long time, but I wondered if we could just, if you could walk through one of the truth pointers. You have the video on the sleight of hand, but to position it not in a way that's bad, just that it helps us understand
Yeah,
those experiences.
I can't remember what I did on that. Just in a very simple way, if you actually, if someone talks to you, if you listen to if Rupert leads a meditation and takes your attention to something which isn't yourself,
Mhm.
and then afterwards goes, "Did you experience no self?" And you go, "I did." So there you are. You're not a self.
Right.
As no, you just put your attention on something which wasn't yourself, and then you were told what to conclude from that. But that's not the only thing you can conclude.
Yeah.
The classic one, I don't sure if this is in the video talking about, but the one that really broke me free was the consciousness. Everything exists in consciousness.
Mhm.
That was the really big one for me, because I'd written that myself in
Yeah.
Lucid Living, and I'd listened to Rupert and many others do it, and had got that same sense of, well, this is self-evident.
Yes.
Like, these materialists, how can they argue with that?
Yeah.
And then gone, hang on a second. What I realized was that when I went, can't you see, Jessica, that everything you've experienced ever has always been an appearance arising in consciousness?
Mhm.
Isn't that self-evident?
It was.
And then going, hang on. First of all, I told you that what you were experiencing was an appearance. It wasn't the world. It was an
Right.
appearance. Is
Mhm.
it? Are you experiencing an appearance, or are you experiencing the world?
Yeah.
And then I told you that it was arising in a thing called consciousness. Is it? Is there a thing called consciousness that appearances arise in? Or is there Jessica who is relating to the world?
With conscious.
And yeah, consciously relating to the world. And if that's the case, when you say everything is arising in consciousness, you're really just saying, have you ever experienced anything consciously that you weren't conscious of? To which obviously the answer is no, because it's a
Right.
tautology. You haven't said anything.
Yeah.
That's what's self-evident. That is self-evident.
Hmm.
But that says nothing about the
Yeah.
nature of reality. All of that was put into the question so that you had to reach that conclusion.
Okay. Yeah. And that's what the pointers in general do.
That's what they're doing. Yeah.
You're being pointed to experience in a certain way.
You just need to be clear that people are going, ideate it in this way. And if someone goes, ideate it in this way and see what you think, try it out. So if it works, that's interesting. They work.
Yeah.
I can go. I can do it. I could go, can you see, Jessica, that all that exists is what you experience?
Hmm.
Nothing else exists. The world, the universe is what you experience. There's nothing else. When have you ever experienced anything else?
Yeah.
Solipsism is completely self-evident and unavoidable. And it's only your delusion which makes you think I'm separate from you, outside of you. I am part of your imagination speaking to you right now. I'm going to stop now because I don't want you to go nuts.
I know.
Because yeah, because
Nothing's
it's like,
stopping
well,
you. People are going nuts.
you can ideate it that way, and
Yeah.
then you have to step back from it and go, is that the best way to ideate it? And then
Exactly.
the same with all the other things, and
So do you,
not to get into the mistake of thinking, this is the thing with Copernicus, not to get the mistake that because you can experience it that way, that makes it true. Things have been fitting with human beings' experience thousands and thousands of years that have turned out to be not true.
so just, I guess the last thing I'll just ask you is, so then do you feel like it's the conviction of the teacher or the tradition that also sets the stage? Because we're taking on these assumptions. Is it mainly because there's that authoritarian figure who's has
Absolutely.
utter conviction that this is the truth and the end of ignorance. And
The reason that we've ended up with the whole guru thing is because people respond to it better. If you get somebody who has got an aura about them, I get it I hear it all the time. I heard it today actually with somebody. It's like you set them up to be an authority, and therefore you're more likely to believe them. Why? Because we've learned generally all the way through is listen to people who have got some authority. And if someone comes along and goes, I'm having this experience, you can have it too, this is the way it is,
yeah,
and you're open to it and you're not reflecting too much, then you just step in, and then you become they are the storyteller, and you become part of the story they're telling.
mm-hmm.
And that's what cults are. And
In the best, it can happen to the best of us, right?
yeah, telling me. And that's why we have to be very wary of it and fight against it. And that's why reflection and doubt are our friends. And we
Yes.
need it. But it definitely helps. Definitely makes it more likely that you'll experience it. And if you're doing it and they've got thousands of people all listening to them, then it's more likely again.
Yeah. Yep.
Because you're more like, or say you're more likely to just believe it, and therefore to actually ideate it in
Right.
some way.
Right.
And then it builds, and then it sets up and this is true of what we're doing, it's true of the ICU, is that if you keep it going, you build up a passivity to it. It has a past, and therefore people step into it more easily.
Excited to be part of helping people reinterpret the experiences.
Yeah, I'm so pleased you're doing this. It can be really healing and important, and that's great.